What if an e-mountain bike can make you a fitter, faster rider? Well, stay tuned, because with the help of one of the sport's top trainers, some tech, and long days in the saddle, we're gonna give it a try. As a professional mechanic and longtime cyclist, I've spent my whole life riding bikes. Also, as a former professional and nationally ranked runner, I'm hoping to take some of that success over to competitive mountain bike racing with my eyes set on racing the Downieville Classic. Over 2 days, I'll have to descend over 10,000 feet and climb almost 4,600. Needless to say, in order to give it my best shot, my fitness will have to be on another level. We needed a basic understanding of training and how to best utilize our time in the saddle. That's why we were lucky enough to get on a call with Joel Harwood, trainer of Finn Isles, Miranda Miller, and many other of the sport's top athletes.
Yeah, so like basically in there's all kinds of different training philosophies, and then you've got science to support each of them. And so basically the three training philosophies are sweet spot training, which is kind of training at medium intensity the majority of the time. There's the idea of high intensity interval training, which is kind of like short maximal effort intervals. And then there's polarized training, which in the simplest term is you spend most of the time, kind of 70, 80% at low intensities, and then, 20 to 30% at higher intensities. So in the simplest terms, polarized training is either real easy or real hard. Generally speaking, 1 or 2 sessions per week would be shorter, higher intensity efforts, and then the remainder would be low intensity. And so where I see an e-bike being particularly valuable is on those low intensity rides. On an acoustic bike, you don't really cover any ground because you're basically only riding as fast as you can nose breathe, which if you try it around Squamish, you can't really do it other than sitting in a 32 and a 51. Whereas you can keep things really, really easy and aerobic on an e-bike and still cover massive ground, which hypothetically is going to give you way more time on the trail, way more mileage descending. In theory, if you can get more time descending over an entire off season, you're going to have way more opportunity to work on skills and trail speed and all those other things without having to shell yourself and kind of end up overtraining, which is often a problem for a lot of people.
With a simple understanding of what our training plan will look like, we're ready to figure out how I can use an e-bike to follow a training plan as closely as possible while getting more time in the dirt and becoming a better descender. I primarily ride trail bikes, so I wanted an e-bike that carried over as much of that same feel as possible. That's why I thought that Levo SL was the obvious choice for this project. It feels a lot like its non-motorized cousin, the Stumpy. This is likely due to a substantially lower weight than any other e-bike I've ridden. With a 66-degree head angle and 455mm reach, the geometry would be considered pretty conservative these days. But the added weight of the motor and battery give it a low center of gravity and definitely help the bike feel planted on rougher descents. Okay, so that's enough about the bike. Let's talk about some of the tech and gear we'll be using. In the middle of it all, and what's making this project possible, is the bike's motor and its built-in power meter, which allows us to connect to any ANT Plus or Bluetooth device. That's where the computer and the Specialized Mission Control app come in. I'm able to upload custom workouts to the computer, and it displays my live power and workout in real time. So it can tell me what amount of effort I should be putting in and when. So since we're following a polarized training plan, we're gonna have easy days where I'm gonna have to keep my wattages low, say 180 watts. This is pretty easy to do on a train or even a fairly flat road ride. But when it comes to mountain biking, where steep, punchy climbs and long, sustained fire road grinds are common, it's just about impossible to sustain specific wattages for extended periods of time. That's where the SL's motor comes into play. I can dial up the power assist to make sure my wattage comes down to where it needs to be, essentially flattening out the climbs to my favorite descents. In this case, the motor allows me to accurately follow a workout while getting more time on the trails. All right, after a hard day yesterday, I am using the Levo SL Wahoo computer and the heart rate monitor as my tools of choice for keeping an easy day easy. So I'm on my easy ride going up this road, and I want to keep my wattage below 180, preferably, throughout this entire ride. All right, so this is a very steep section of trail, and I'm just spinning on up, trying to stay in that range. And for the most part, I think I am. So in just an hour, I was able to get to the top of the mountain. Just over there is the saddle, and that would be hard to get to on an Omo bike, but I was able to do a quality workout, keep it within range, hit the intervals, and just, yeah, I can't really believe how well that worked, actually. After a few weeks training on the setup, I've been able to follow a polarized training plan with consistency while getting more time in the dirt. I'm able to take the stumpy out on my hard days when I really want to get after it. These rides usually consist of long, steep ascents and over 10 miles of descending. Then, on my easy days, I'm using the SL's motor to help me on the climbs, keeping my wattage and heart rate low, but still allowing me to get a few thousand feet of descending. I've found that training with an e-bike in my routine gives me the best of both worlds, for fitness and on-trail skill building. I'm able to closely follow a finely tuned training plan without having to sacrifice descending time in the dirt on easy days. Refined skills on the trail, paired with a high fitness level, should serve me well in Downeyville this summer. Be sure to check out vitalmtb.com for a full write-up on this topic, where we go in depth on the training plan, the gear, and the setup that we use for this project. That is... Oh my God. Yes.